Have you ever sat through a training, maybe a class, or even just like an online tutorial and thought, wow, that actually worked. I learned something. It changed how I do things.
Yeah, definitely.
And then conversely, have you ever wondered why so much learning just doesn't seem to land, especially now, you know, with all this amazing tech we have?
It's usually not luck when it works well, that kind of really impactful learning. It's designed, it's built with intention, almost like an architect planning a building.
Okay.
And these instructional design models, they're basically those essential blueprints. They give us a structured, you know, systematic way to create learning that's not just engaging, but also like really strategic, efficient, and actually sticks.
Right. So that's what we're doing in this deep dive. We're going to unpack 3 sort of foundational models: ADDIE, Gagne's 9 events of instruction, and Assure.
The big 3, yeah.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding not just what they are, but, and this is key, how they integrate with today's technology, because that's always changing, right? And also how they stack up against each other. So by the end, you'll have a much clearer grasp of the process behind really effective learning, whether you're creating a big corporate program or just, you know, a single lesson plan.
Sounds good.
So if we're building that house, where do we start? Maybe with the big framework, the model a lot of people see is the cornerstone, ADDIE.
Ah, yes, ADDIE, good place to start. It's definitely a leading framework. You see it everywhere. Corporate training, L&D programs, it's very common.
So what does it actually stand for? It's an acronym.
It is. Analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. 5 stages, usually done sequentially, that guide the whole learning development process.
Analyze, design, develop, implement, evaluate. Got it.
What's really smart about it, I think, isn't just the steps, but the logic. It forces you to ask why before you jump to how.
Okay, that makes sense. Prevents building something fancy that doesn't solve the real problem.
Exactly. It came out of work done for the U.S. Army back in the 70s, actually. Florida State University developed it to standardize how they created training materials.
Wow, the 70s. And it's still a major model today.
It is. Despite its age, it's often called a timeless framework. Because those fundamental steps, analyzing the need, designing a solution, building it, rolling it out, checking if it worked, those apply pretty much regardless of the specific tools or tech you end up using.
That structured step-by-step thing must be a huge benefit, making sure you don't miss anything critical.
Definitely. It helps ensure the training actually achieves its goals by aligning everything back to clear learning objectives.
Right.
And because it's structured, it helps you use data, make better decisions, and keep everyone involved. Designers, instructors, learners, stakeholders on the same page.
Communication is key. Yeah.
It also builds in this cycle of continuous improvement, right? You collect feedback, look at the data, and that helps make the next version better. It sharpens everyone's design skills over time.
And it's adaptable. You can use it for different things.
Hugely adaptable. Different industries, subjects, online, offline, blended learning. It provides consistency and quality control. And importantly, even though it's often seen as linear, you can build in feedback loops and make changes at each stage. It's not totally rigid.
Okay, let's break down those 5 phases then. First up, analyze. What happens here?
Analyze is, like you said earlier, putting on your detective hat. What's the actual problem? Is it really a training problem? Maybe it's a process issue or something else.
Good point. Sometimes training isn't the answer.
Exactly. So you identify the core problem, figure out if training is the right fix, and then you define really clear learning goals. What should people be able to do afterwards?
And the audience.
Crucial. You need to know who you're teaching. What's their current knowledge? What are their needs? Sometimes people create like learner personas to really get specific.
Like in marketing.
Sort of, yeah. And then you figure out resources. How much time do we have? What's the budget? What facilities or tech do we need? All that groundwork happens in Analyze.
Okay, so after all that analysis, you move to design.
Right. Design is where you translate all that analysis into an actual blueprint for the learning experience.
So outlines, objectives.
Yep. You outline the content, write specific, measurable learning objectives for each part. Decide on the delivery methods. Is it going to be online, face-to-face, a mix?
Like blended learning.
Exactly. And this is where you plan your assessments too. How will you know if people actually learned it? Maybe using something like Kirkpatrick's model.
Ah, Kirkpatrick's levels. Reaction, learning, behavior, results. Measuring more than just if they liked it.
Precisely. It pushes you to think about real impact. And you'd also create things like storyboards or prototypes in the design phase. Get sign-off from stakeholders before you start bidding.
Makes sense. Saves time and rework later. Then comes develop. This sounds like where the action is.
It is. Develop is where the training actually gets built, where it comes to life. You take those storyboards, those prototypes, and you create the actual course materials.
And this is where technology really comes into play, I imagine.
Absolutely. You're making decisions about how to deliver it. Are you building e-learning modules in a tool like Articulate or Captivate? Are you scripting and shooting videos, setting up VR simulations?
Lots of options now.
For sure. You also decide where the content will live, usually a learning management system, an LMS, or maybe some other platform. And what specific software tools you need. Maybe video conferencing like Zoom, collaboration tools, that sort of thing.
And testing.
Oh, crucial. You test everything. Does it work? Is navigation intuitive? Are there typos? Is it engaging? And often you'll do a pilot test with a small group of actual learners before the full rollout.
Get that feedback early. Okay, so it's built and tested. Next is implement.
Implement. This is all about the rollout and project management. Communicating with the learners, handling scheduling, logistics, collecting data on who's taking it.
Getting it out there.
Exactly. If it's a big program, maybe training the trainers who will deliver it. Making sure IT support is ready for any tech glitches. Often this means uploading the final course to the LMS, setting up the tracking and reporting.
And maybe generating some buzz, getting people interested.
Yeah, that's part of it too. Marketing the training internally, making sure people know it's available and why it's valuable.
Okay, final phase. Evaluate. But you said evaluation happens throughout.
It does, ideally. You're getting feedback constantly. But evaluate is also its own distinct phase at the end. This is where you formally assess. Did it work? Did we meet the objectives we set back in the analyze and design phases?
How do you do that?
Lots of ways. Post-assessments, comparing pre- and post-training skills, observing people applying the learning on the job, looking at performance data. Did sales go up? Did errors go down?
So connecting it back to the original problem.
Exactly. And the goal isn't just to judge if it was good or bad, but to identify specific things you can improve for the next time or for the next module. It feeds back into the cycle.
So ADDIE provides this solid structure, but how tightly is technology locked into it? You said it's timeless.
Right, that's the key thing. While the tools change constantly, today it's AI tutors and adaptive learning platforms.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, who knows, the process that ADDIE describes remains relevant.
So the phases stay the same, but the develop and implement stages look very different now than in the 70s.
Totally different. In develop, you're choosing from a vast array of digital tools. In implement, you're likely using an LMS with sophisticated tracking. But the core need to analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate, that hasn't changed. ADDIE gives you the what, not necessarily the how with specific tech.
Okay, that clarifies ADDIE's role, the big picture, the overall program architecture. But what about structuring an individual lesson effectively when you're down in the weeds?
Okay, now you're shifting focus. For that level of detail, a model like Gagne's 9 events of instruction is incredibly useful.
Gagne's 9 events.
Right.
This one feels more focused on the psychology of learning, maybe. How the brain actually processes information in a lesson.
That's a great way to put it. Robert Gagne was an educational psychologist, and his model focuses on good instruction by identifying 9 specific events or steps that help learning happen effectively within a single lesson or topic. It's really a guide for lesson planning and delivery. 9
specific steps. Okay, let's walk through them. What's first?
First, gain attention. You got to hook them.
The opening act.
Exactly. Grab their interest. A surprising statistic, a provocative question, a quick poll, maybe even a relevant cartoon or story. Something to make them sit up and listen.
Okay, hook them. Then what?
Second, inform learners of objectives. Tell them what they're going to be able to do by the end of this specific lesson. It sets expectations, helps them focus.
Clear goals for the session. Makes sense. Number 3.
Third, stimulate recall of prior knowledge. Connect the new stuff to what they already know. Ask questions about their experience. Use relatable examples. Link it back.
This sounds like, isn't there a learning theory about building on what you know?
Yes. Constructivism. The idea that learners actively construct their own understanding by integrating new information with their existing knowledge base. Gagne's 3rd event taps right into that.
Cool. Okay, number 4.
Fourth, present the content. This is the core instruction part. Deliver the new information, but try to do it in engaging ways. Use varied methods, maybe active learning techniques. Ensure they can access the materials easily, perhaps through an online platform like Canvas or your LMS.
So not just lecturing.
Ideally, no. 5th is provide learning guidance. Don't just present the info, help them process it. Explain concepts clearly, use examples, analogies, maybe infographics, case studies, videos, mnemonics, memory aids, or even role-playing activities.
Give them scaffolding support.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then sixth, elicit performance. Get them to do something with a new knowledge or skill. Practice.
Like exercises or discussions.
Yeah, low-stakes stuff, short practice exercises, maybe lab work, discussion prompts. The key here is practice, a chance to try it out and make mistakes before they get formally graded or assessed.
Safe space to try and fail. Important. What's number 7?
Seventh, provide feedback. And it needs to be timely and specific. Let them know how they did on that practice. Confirm if they're on the right track, explain why something is correct, or suggest specific improvements if they're off base. Peer feedback or self-evaluation can fit here too.
Feedback is critical for learning. Okay, 8th.
Eighth, assess performance. Now you formally check if they've achieved the objective you stated back in step 2. This is where your quizzes, tests, projects, presentations come in. You need to see if they can do it without the coaching wheels on. Sometimes you need a few different assessments to really see.
The formal check. And the last one, number 9.
Ninth, enhance retention and transfer. Help them lock the information into long-term memory and, crucially, be able to use it in different situations beyond the classroom or training session.
How do you do that?
Through things like spaced repetition, discussions about how to apply the skill in their daily work, connecting the topic to other things they're learning, using things like question banks for review over time, making it stick and making it useful.
That's a very practical sequence for a lesson. How does technology fit into Gagne's model?
Well, it's not explicitly designed for deep program-wide tech strategy, like, say, deciding on an LMS in ADDIE. But it absolutely supports using technology within the lesson itself.
Can you give an example?
Sure. For present the content, you might use interactive simulations online or give access to digital resources. For elicit performance or assess performance, you could use online quizzes, digital polling tools, or collaborative online documents. Teaching fractions. Maybe use an interactive whiteboard app. Tech becomes a tool within those 9 events to make them more effective or engaging.
So Gagne is powerful for the lesson structure, and tech can enhance each step, but it's not primarily about choosing the tech itself.
Exactly. Its strength is that cognitive roadmap for learning within a lesson.
Okay, so we've got ADDIE for the big program structure, Gagne's for the detailed lesson flow,
which brings us to Assure. This one sounds like it's aimed squarely at teachers or instructors using tech in the classroom. Is that right?
That's spot on. Assure is very much designed with the individual classroom teacher or instructor in mind, specifically focusing on how to effectively integrate media and technology into their lesson planning.
So it directly addresses the tech piece.
Yes, it helps teachers plan instruction that purposefully includes technology, while also really focusing on the specific learners they have in front of them. It's very practical for that context.
Sounds useful. It has 6 phases, I think.
It does. A is for analyze learners. Similar to ADDIE, but maybe more focused on the specific group you have right now, their prior knowledge, learning styles, any particular needs they might have.
Okay, know your students.
S is for state objectives. Again, similar idea, but Assure often emphasizes using the ABCD format for clarity. Audience, behavior, condition, degree. The ABCD objectives. Like given a map condition, the student audience will identify all the state capitals, behavior, with 90% accuracy degree.
Exactly that. Makes it super clear and measurable. The next S is select methods, media, materials. Here's where you choose your teaching strategies and the specific technology tools or media that will best support those objectives in learners.
So the tech choice is right there in the model.
Explicitly. Then comes you. Utilize media and materials. This isn't just selecting them. It's planning how you'll actually use them effectively in the lesson. Previewing materials, preparing the tech, setting up the room or online environment.
The practical implementation.
R is for require learner participation. Actively engage the students. Don't let them be passive recipients. Plan for discussions, hands-on activities, group work, maybe using collaborative online tools.
Keep them involved. And the final E.
E is evaluate and revise. Assess how effective the lesson was. Did students meet the objectives? How well did the media and methods work? And then, crucially, revise your plan for next time based on that evaluation.
So what are the big strengths of Assure, especially regarding tech?
Its main strength is that explicit focus on technology integration and learner analysis right there in the steps. It's very practical, flexible for teachers. It encourages active learning. You might see it used for planning a lesson on algorithms using, say, an instructional video, then an interactive quiz on Kahoots. And maybe students even create their own short videos explaining a concept.
And the utilize step even includes things like checking the tech beforehand.
Yeah, it gets down to that practical level. Test technology before class, make sure it works. It really grounds the planning in classroom reality.
Very teacher-focused. But what about downsides or limitations?
Well, a key one is that it often assumes access to tech. It's built around using media and technology, which might not be realistic in all classrooms or for all students, especially thinking globally or about equity issues.
Good point. What else?
It's maybe less detailed for instructional sequencing within the lesson compared to Gagne's 9 events. It tells you to select and utilize, but Gagne breaks down the flow of learning more minutely, and it's definitely not ideal for large-scale design. It's really meant for planning individual lessons or units, not entire curricula or programs like ADDIE.
Okay, that makes the distinctions clearer. ADDIE for the program, Gagne for the lesson flow, Assure for the tech-integrated classroom lesson. So when you're faced with a project, how do you choose? How do they really compare side by side?
Yeah, the which one is best question. It really comes down to first, purpose and scale. What are you building?
Right.
If it's a whole curriculum, a major training initiative, ADDIE is probably your starting point for that overall structure. If you need to design a really effective single lesson or module, you'll likely lean heavily on Gagne's events to structure that learning experience.
And Assure.
Assure is the go-to if you're an instructor planning a specific lesson and thinking, how can I best use this video, this simulation, this online tool with these particular students? It's about that specific intersection of learners, objectives, and technology in a classroom setting.
And structurally, they feel different too. ADDIE is quite linear, traditionally.
Yeah, though people use it more iteratively now. Gagne's is also sequential, guiding you through the lesson steps. Assure feels practical, like a checklist for teachers almost, focusing on those key stages for tech integration.
The emphasis on technology is a major difference, isn't it?
Huge difference. ADDIE is flexible. You use tech and develop and implement, but the model itself doesn't prescribe how to integrate it pedagogically within a lesson. Gagne lets you use tech to deliver content or assess, but it wasn't built around tech integration for the whole program. Assure, though, technology and media selection are baked right into its core steps. That's its specific focus.
Even though it assumes you have the tech available.
Right, that's the caveat.
Now, you mentioned ADDIE's traditional linearity. That makes me think about other approaches like Agile or SAM. How do they fit in? They seem like a reaction to that waterfall style.
That's a really important point in modern instructional design. Agile methods like SAM, the successive approximation model, offer a different rhythm. If ADDIE is like carefully planning and building that skyscraper floor by floor, Agile or SAM is more like developing an app. You build a basic working version quickly, a prototype or a minimum viable product, get it into users' hands, get feedback, and then rapidly iterate, improve, and add features in short cycles.
So much faster feedback loops.
Exactly. Speed, flexibility, collaboration are key. You create and test prototypes early and often. It's great for projects where requirements might change or technology is evolving fast, which is, let's face it, pretty common now.
Compared to ADDIE's finish analysis before starting design.
Right. That traditional waterfall approach can feel rigid, especially if you spend months building something only to find needs have shifted by the time you launch. Agile aims to avoid that.
Does it involve more collaboration too?
Often, yes. Agile often uses things like daily stand-up meetings or sprints with lots of communication and continuous assessment. They can feel more transparent and dynamic than ADDIE's typically more structured team collaboration.
But it's not necessarily about throwing ADDIE out, is it? Can these models work together?
Absolutely not. That's the key takeaway, really. These models aren't mutually exclusive. They're not competitors in that sense. You can definitely integrate them.
How would that work in practice?
Well, you might use ADDIE for the overall course or program planning, setting the high-level goals, defining the scope, managing the project. But then when you get down to designing individual lessons within that program, you'd pull in Gagne's 9 events to structure the learning flow for maximum cognitive impact.
And maybe use Assure's principles if a specific lesson heavily involves choosing and integrating a particular technology tool.
Precisely. You might use Assure's lens for planning that specific tech-heavy lesson, thinking carefully about learner characteristics related to that tech, selecting the right tool, and planning its utilization. They become tools in your toolkit.
So it's about knowing which tool or combination of tools to use for the specific job at hand. The art is in the mashup.
That's a perfect way to put it. mastering the art of the mashup, knowing ADA's rigor for the big picture, Gagne's precision for the lesson flow, Assure's tech focus for specific integrations, maybe Agile speed for rapid prototyping. Yeah, that's what makes a really effective instructional designer today. They complement each other beautifully.
So wrapping this up, it's really clear that these models, ADA, Gagne's, Assure, they aren't just academic theories. They provide real, practical frameworks for planning and creating learning that actually works, especially when integrating technology.
Absolutely. They bring structure and intention to the process. They force you to be systematic, to focus on the learner, and to build in evaluation and improvement. It's about moving beyond just throwing content out there and hoping it sticks.
It really highlights how much thought goes into something that, when done well, might seem simple or intuitive to the learner.
It gives you a repeatable process, a way to ensure quality and effectiveness, whatever the subject matter.
And for you, the listener, getting familiar with these models gives you a strategic lens. Whether you're building training, teaching a class, or even just evaluating learning materials someone else created, you'll have a better sense of what makes it effective. You can ask better questions.
Definitely. You can sort of see the structure underneath.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Technology is changing faster than ever, right? Learner expectations are evolving too. How will this constant change push us to keep blending, adapting, maybe even creating entirely new mashups of these foundational models?
That's the ongoing challenge and excitement of the field. The models provide the foundation, but the practice is always evolving. How will you, listening now, take these ideas and leverage them, adapt them, to create learning experiences that truly resonate and make a difference in this ever-changing landscape? It really is a continuous deep dive.